Welcome back to Gentry's Garage. This time, we'll be working on this beautiful 1954 Chevy Bel-Air. It had been owned by one family for a long time, and a buddy of mine picked it up and wanted to do some work to it. Sold the engine and trans out of it, and with some other stuff going on, he decided to sell it. And I bought it from the guy that he sold it to. He was bringing it over here for me to do some work on, get it on the road, and I bought it before he could even get it off the trailer. I've done quite a bit of work to it already. It's got a new tank in it, in-tank pump. LS swapped it. This is going to be for my wife. So I wanted something just nice and easy for her to drive around. She doesn't have to worry about. It's got all new brake lines, disc brake conversion in the front. I've put a whole wiring harness in it, minus the dash, which I was waiting on the gauges and just got them in. I've got a new radiator for it to go in, but it's got the truck oil pan on it that hangs down too far. So I'm gonna pull the engine back out, and I've got a new low profile oil pan to put on it. I've also got some new springs to bring it up just a little bit. The tires rub on the front when you turn all the way. So I want to bring it up just about an inch. And then I'll bring the back up to match. And if it were my car, I would leave it alone, but it's gonna be for my wife. So I want her to be able to drive it without worrying about anything. The interior is not bad, needs a little work. The car is almost completely rust free. There's a hole in the passenger floorboard where it looks like somebody shot it with a shotgun when they were carrying a shotgun in the car. So the only real rust is right here at the back. Right there. And then the paint's rusted through here and on the other side. But I really don't want to change any of the paint. I think the car is beautiful the way it is. I do want to buff it out. Washed it with some SOS, so it just needs buffed out. She's got a few little dents and dings. I do have the piece of chrome for the front. Once I get the radiator in, I'll mount that and mount the hood latch and everything that goes along with it. But today, I'm going to pull the engine, put the new pan on, get the engine back in it, get the radiator fitted, and start getting ready to put the dash in. So I'll push it up here and get started. I was able to get the pan out without pulling the engine. I was able to pull one of the steering linkage and just barely snuck it by. I was able to get it out. So, but here's the underneath the car. I had to put a cross member in it, which was a kit, built the brake lines. It's all wired and plumbed. Fuel system's already in it. New fuel tank. I've got to take these, I got to raise them up. I'm going to put a 1-inch block in here instead of this drop block somebody welded on the rear end, which will be fun to get off. But this rear end's getting changed at some point in time. I'm sure she'll tear up this rear end. So here's the oil pan I pulled off. And here's the new one. This is just a cheap pan. New pickup tube. Comes with everything you need to put it in. The gasket. Didn't know I was going to shoot an unboxing video here. There we go. She is quite a bit lower. And just hope it goes in as easy as the other one came out. That's going to be close. That's gonna be close. Hopefully it works. I guess I'll see. All right, I'm gonna try to get this thing in, see what happens. Well, after a little bit of fighting, because it was so close, I got it in. I had to open up, I had to remove the windage tray from the oil pan. There wasn't enough room for it to, or from the bottom of the engine. There wasn't enough room in the oil pan for it. And it came with a windage tray that bolts into this pan, similar to the stock pan, just a little bit bigger. But I couldn't get it to rotate in with the steering. So I opened it up just a little bit on the inside of the windage tray to let the pickup tube go down through it. And she rotated up in, and it's gonna have plenty of clearance now. I had to take both tie rods off to get her to go in. So under here, I've got a low car shifter I'm gonna put in this, and it'll go under here. And I've also got to build some exhaust. I'm gonna run them through here, right through there. So, but for right now, I'm gonna put it down. I'm gonna replace the front springs. And got to get the radiator in, and I've got to get these blocks pulled out. And put the aluminum 1-inch blocks in place. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and change this from a drive-by wire to a drive-by cable. And the reason I want to do that is I need a module to control the pedal and stuff, and I don't have it right now. So instead of waiting for it, I'm just going to change all of this. I've got another harness. It is a blue-red harness. I've got a computer for it with the VATs turned off. This should work. I've got the correct fuel injector adapters to work with these injectors, so I don't have to change injectors. And I've got a bracket built on the other computer that goes under the dash and doesn't affect the windshield wipers, because on this car the windshield wipers are cable driven. So instead of drilling holes and mounting it in weird spots and or under the hood, I built that bracket, and it'll mount under the dash, up out of the way where you can still get to it. So I'm going to start on pulling this harness back out and putting the other one in. I've got a throttle body for this intake, so I've got everything I need to put that one together. The only thing that may be different is the alternator plug, and it's not. It's a 4-plug. So that'll work. I like it. I'm gonna go ahead and do that first, and then I'll come back, and I've got to cut out right here for the radiator, and build a custom mount for the radiator. And then I'll run transmission lines and do the front springs. So I'm gonna get started on this harness, I haven't wired it into anything inside yet, so it'll be pretty easy to remove. I just gotta pull it back through the hole that I made, which is right here. I used the fresh air inlet on the driver's side, and I'll use the fresh air inlet coming into the front of the car for a cold air intake. So I'll pop that out. The wires will come out nice and easy. And the hardest part will be getting it off the starter and the transmission, because I didn't do it yesterday when it was in the air. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'll try to get a time lapse set up for you. I got the harness out. This is the one, the drive-by-wire. So this goes to the module for the gas pedal. I lengthened the power wire going to the starter to fit around the headers and everything. So I'm gonna have to lengthen on the other one to match. Here's the other one. This is all the driver's side. And I'm running this through the driver's side, so I'll have to bend this here and bring it back around the other way. So these are the power wires that go down to the starter that I have to lengthen. So all I'm going to do is basically measure from where it comes out of the harness and then lengthen them that much out of the car, so it's a little bit easier on me. And I got the car up in the air. I didn't put it on the lift because I wanted to be able to get up and down. So I'll throw it back on, lengthen those wires, and throw the harness back on. This should hopefully go on pretty smoothly. It came off okay. So the hardest part was where I ran it under the dash. I had it kind of intertwined with the harness that's already in there, or the harness that I just put in there. So putting it back in, I'll be able to run it around it. It won't be intertwined. It'll be a little bit better anyway. So get to it. Okay. Wiring harness is all back in. Starter's back in. Everything's tucked back inside. I still have to run it up under the dash, mount the computer, and put all that stuff together. But I'm going to clean the throttle body. And I use a little sonic cleaner. If you've never used one of these, they are awesome. Turn the heat on. So I'll just take the throttle body. See how nasty it is. Throw it down in there. Let's pull the tray out real quick. Okay. So I'll throw the throttle body down in there. It's all the way in. Turn it over here. That'll work. And I'll turn it on. Maybe 20 minutes. As you can already see the stuff coming off of it. Just works amazing. Clean my injectors with this thing. All kinds of stuff. Awesome. We'll let that sit and be back in a minute. Okay, this should be finished now. Look how dirty that water is. But even with the water being dirty, if you have enough of the ultrasonic cleaner in it, it still cleans the stuff really well. This does get really hot, so it'll burn your hands. But there we go. Man, that is a lot better. So I'll blow it off, clean it up, and throw it back on. Or throw it on, I guess, and move on to the next step. Working on mounting up the radiator now. I'm gonna make some brackets, just out of 18 gauge for here. Thought about cutting these off and building some out of aluminum and TIG welding them on, but I don't have any aluminum here right now for that. So I'm gonna make some 18 gauge brackets that just fold around and it'll bolt right in. It'll be okay. It'll probably get pulled out and changed anyway. And now I need to make the transmission lines, and I've got them started over here. I've got the 45s on for the transmission end to try to get it away from the exhaust. And then I'll be doing 90s on the radiator side. And I like using a lubricant that dries when you put these together. So I usually use glass cleaner. Seems to work really well. So I'm gonna go out here. My vise is outside and it's windy right now. So I'm just gonna go out and put them together, and then I'll show you what I've got when I'm done. All right, got the lines in. Nice and tuck down out of the way. They're not mounted yet, I'm just test fitting. So look good. So I'll disconnect them and make my little mounts and pull the radiator out and do all that finished work. Start over. Got the radiator brackets made, painted and in. Pretty sturdy. Fan clears nicely. Got the air intake built. And it tucks down, air filters down there, which is the fresh air inlet. The mass airflow. Got an antique horn I had laying on the shelf here, and that's wired. I've got to put a relay in for the fan, and I've got to mount a catch can, which I already have one. I'm going to put it right in here, and it should clear the fresh air inlet for the car. So I'm going to work on getting the overflow in, and I also need to work on getting the exhaust in. On the inside of the car, I've got part of the wiring done. Got the dash cut out. I've got to do the turn signals, the keys done, the headlights are done. I got to put a dimmer switch in, and then I've got a low car shifter that was bought by mistake that I got from a friend of mine, so I'm going to put that in. So yeah, it's coming along good. So now I think I'm going to get it up on the lift now and start on the exhaust, which I bought some cheap Summit brand mufflers. I'm going to put in. I also have some leftovers that I think I can get enough out of, including an X pipe, to get the exhaust back far enough, you know, far enough. As long as it has something. I've got to get a couple of O2 sensors in it. Everything else is pretty much buttoned up. So I'm gonna get started on the exhaust here, see what I can do. Now I've got to get the shifter in, and this low car shifter is one that mounts on top of the floor, or you can turn this over and mount it underneath, depending on how much room you have. Well, I don't have a lot of room in the tunnel, so it came in really handy. I think this is about where I like it. You pull it back. That's drive right there. Maybe forward a little bit. Okay. It's drive right there. Plenty of room. And when you put it in park, it fits up nice with the dash. And it'll still be out of the way if the radio's in. I don't know if we're gonna ever put one in. And then the ashtray still opens and closes. So I think I like it like that. I really don't want it back very far. Back here I think is too much. So anyway, I think that's about where we're gonna put it. See how this goes. Got the overflow tank mounted. It's got antifreeze in it. Everything's hooked up. Checked the transmission fluid. I did have a no start issue, and it didn't like the ignition switch. We don't need those. I didn't like the ignition switch location where the computer was wired in. It was dropping voltage across this when you started it. Every ground. So once I figured that out, switched a couple wires around, and it fired right up. So the dash isn't in yet. I've got a few things to button up on the dash. The shifter is mounted, but the linkage isn't done yet. So I was going to let y'all hear it. I do have the exhaust on. I'll show you that here in just a little bit. Battery's plugged in. And let's give her a start here. She's still learning. Sounds really good. And the exhaust is really short because I didn't have, you know, all the pipe to go over the rear axle and everything yet. So I'll work on that. We'll work on getting the shifter in all the way, getting the carpet back in. I was able to get the insulation out. The edge was just a little bit glued, or it may have been from just the insulation itself. So I'll get that and the carpet put back in. I've got to build, got to do the accelerator pedal yet, and let this thing run and heat cycle a few times and learn itself. It's gonna be a nice little car. Okay, so I got the car up to finish up the shifter. I was going to show you the exhaust since I didn't take a video of me, you know, kind of finishing the exhaust. Now this is just some tips to turn out. I didn't have enough stuff to finish it out. Doesn't even have any hangers on it. It'll get hangers. But it tucks in nice and neat. There's plenty of room around it. Pretty nice. Kick out under the car. It really needs it to go all the way out the back. It vibrates. I mean, the sound inside the car is got that special tone where everything rattles. So I'm working on putting the shifter in now. I had to put the big offset on the shifter, and I've got the rod over here I'm going to cut and put in, and then it's time to put it back down on the ground and see if it'll move under its own power. And then I'm waiting on a new headlight switch. And what else? Oh, I'm waiting on the headlight switch, and I've got to wire the steering column in. And then I can put the rest of the dash all together, mount the computer, and be ready for a test drive. So I'm going to put this shifter in, get it back on the ground, and check to see if it's got gears. This transmission I had built. It's a 4L60. It's supposed to have 4L65 parts in it. You know, hopefully it doesn't make all the neutrals. So that's what I'm hoping for. The guy that builds these, he's really good. So, all right, I decided to go ahead and do these front springs. I need to bring the car up just a little bit. And I like my cars low also, but this one's bottoming out. This front suspension is pretty wore out on this car. And eventually we're gonna change it out. Either we rebuild it or put a Mustang 2 or something like that underneath it. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and just bring it up. I'm going for an inch. It's got about a 2-inch rake on it right now, so an inch won't be too horrible. So I'm gonna get started on that. I don't know. Okay, so I got the passenger side done. I ended up cutting a coil and a quarter off. The other ones had 2 coils cut off of them. So I'm gonna go to the other side real quick and check everything out, and I'll be back. Okay, I think I got everything about wrapped up. The front end's a little bit higher than I want it. I'm gonna work on that some more later. But the suspension isn't bottoming out now. These springs seem to be a little bit stiffer than the other ones that were in it. I did a little toe adjustment. It's not perfect. I didn't measure, I just eyeballed it. Got the carpet back in and the shifter and everything buttoned up on the inside. The dash is still loose because I got some other little things I want to mess with that. So let's fire this thing up, and this is a cold start. I haven't started it yet this morning. Aftermarket turn signal switch in because the steering column's grounded out. So there's the left. There goes there. Switch to the right. Oh yeah. Lights work. Take it for a little rip. Good. Okay. Brakes feel a little spongy. Might need bled a little bit more. Hope I have enough gas to get back. Didn't even check that. Again, almost ran out of gas. Had to back up to the house real quick. So I guess I'm gonna try driving it straight to the gas station. See how this goes. Oh, there's third. Still have to calibrate the dash. Needs a shifter boot. I gotta button the firewall up. But so far it's driving really nice. of gas in it just to get something in it. Head back to the house. So far, it's doing great. Temperature's staying great. The oil pressure's over 40 psi. It's charging at 14 volts. And that 1-2 shift, it's a good one. All right, well, that was a really nice drive. It still got a few little bugs to work out, of course. I mean, that was its first drive on the road. And I'm gonna work on the paint a little bit more. I'm gonna buff it out and get her cleaned up a little bit. I may even use some patina clear coat on it. The front end's still a little bit high for my liking, so I got to work on that a little bit. But all in all, it was a nice little drive. So I hope my wife loves it and will drive it around. And just let her be who she is. She's named her Gloria. So 54 Chevy Bel-Air, 5.3 swap, and hopefully we'll have it out at some shows here this summer, and we'll let y'all know. We do plan on going to Invasion in Dallas, and if everything works out, maybe she'll be there. We'll see how that turns out. So I appreciate y'all watching. Still got a lot more to do around here. Got that 37 I'm working on. If you haven't seen that video, you can go back and check that out. I've got to do some work to my own stuff also that I've been neglecting, and got some more big builds coming up. So if you have any comments, just put them down there below, and I'll do everything I can to get back to you on them. And I really appreciate y'all watching. So until next time, thanks for watching Gentry's Garage. Have a good day.